In the bustling studio of The View, the lights dim slightly as the audience settles in for what promises to be an electrifying episode. George Clooney, the charismatic Hollywood icon known for his suave demeanor and political activism, strides onto the set with a confident smile, greeted by enthusiastic applause. Joy Behar, the sharp-witted co-host with a no-nonsense attitude, eyes him curiously from her seat. The topic of the day is bound to be contentious: Clooney's recent op-ed in the New York Times where he boldly called for President Biden to step down following a lackluster debate performance. As the conversation kicks off, Whoopi Goldberg moderates, but it's clear that Behar is itching to dive in. Clooney begins by explaining his stance, emphasizing the need for fresh leadership in the Democratic Party to counter the rising threats from the opposition. He speaks passionately about democracy and the stakes of the upcoming election, drawing nods from some panelists. But Behar interjects early, questioning why a celebrity like him feels entitled to influence political decisions that affect millions. The audience murmurs in anticipation, sensing the spark of debate igniting. Clooney responds calmly at first, defending his right as a citizen to voice opinions, especially given his fundraising efforts for the party. Behar presses on, arguing that such public criticisms only fuel division and play into the hands of Republicans. The exchange heats up quickly, with Clooney countering that silence in the face of evident issues is complicity. Laughter erupts from the crowd at a witty remark from Clooney about Behar's own outspoken nature on the show. Tension builds as they delve deeper into the implications of his words, with Behar accusing him of hypocrisy for hosting lavish fundraisers while now turning against the beneficiary. Clooney fires back, pointing out the importance of honesty over blind loyalty. The audience reacts with a mix of cheers and boos, reflecting the divided opinions in the room. As the segment progresses, other co-hosts chime in, but the spotlight remains on the verbal spar between Clooney and Behar. He recounts his observations from the fundraiser he co-hosted, describing Biden's performance as concerning, which prompts Behar to defend the president's record vigorously. The back-and-forth showcases their differing views on party unity versus necessary change. Whispers ripple through the audience, some whispering support for Clooney's candor, others siding with Behar's loyalty. The energy in the studio is palpable, with cameras capturing every furrowed brow and pointed gesture. As the debate intensifies, George Clooney leans forward, his usual charm giving way to a more serious tone. He elaborates on his op-ed, stressing that his call for Biden to step aside stems from love for the country rather than personal gain. Joy Behar, not one to back down, challenges him directly. "George, you've raised millions for Biden and now you're throwing him under the bus? That sounds like Hollywood drama to me." The audience gasps audibly, some chuckling at her bluntness. Clooney retorts with a measured response. "Joy, it's not about drama, it's about reality. We saw the debate, and pretending everything's fine won't win elections." Behar shakes her head, countering that public figures like him should handle such matters privately instead of in a newspaper op-ed that the whole world reads. The crowd erupts in applause for her point, but Clooney holds his ground, citing historical precedents where party elders stepped in during crises. He mentions figures like Lyndon Johnson bowing out, drawing parallels to the current situation. Behar interrupts, but Johnson wasn't facing a threat. Like Trump. This sparks a rapid exchange where Clooney argues that a stronger candidate is needed precisely because of that threat. Audience members shout encouragements, with one yelling, "Tell her, George," while another defends Behar. The co-hosts try to mediate, but the sparring continues, touching on topics like ageism in politics and the role of celebrities in activism. Clooney shares anecdotes from his humanitarian work, linking it to his political views, which Behar dismisses as tangential. She presses him on whether he'd support Kamala Harris or another contender, to which he replies affirmatively, but emphasizes the need for an open process. The audience's reactions grow louder, with cheers for Clooney's idealism and boos for what some see as betrayal. Behar lands a zinger, "Easy for you to say from your villa in Italy." Laughter fills the room, lightening the mood momentarily. Clooney smiles but pushes back, reminding everyone of his grassroots efforts. The segment feels like a boxing match, with verbal jabs flying fast. As commercials approach, the intensity doesn't wane, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats. Post-break, the discussion resumes with even more fire, as Behar questions Clooney's timing, suggesting it was opportunistic. He defends it as timely urgency, and the audience claps in agreement with his passion. Midway through the heated exchange, the audience's energy becomes a character in itself, reacting to every pointed remark between George Clooney and Joy Behar. Clooney, maintaining his composure, delves into the broader implications of leadership in times of crisis, arguing that the Democratic Party must prioritize electability over incumbency. Behar counters fiercely, "George, you're not in the trenches like the politicians, you're up in the ivory tower of fame." This elicits a wave of applause from Behar's supporters in the crowd. Others murmur in defense of Clooney. He responds by highlighting his advocacy for issues like Darfur and climate change, insisting that his perspective is grounded in real-world concerns. The sparring escalates when Behar brings up Clooney's past endorsements, questioning his consistency. "You were all in for Biden before, what changed?" she probes. Clooney explains the debate as a turning point, describing it as a wake-up call that couldn't be ignored. Audience members nod along, some whispering to neighbors about their own views on Biden's fitness. A particularly tense moment arises when Clooney suggests that loyalty shouldn't blind one to facts, prompting Behar to retort, "Facts? Or your opinion dressed as fact?" Laughter and gasps mix in the studio. Other panelists interject, with Sunny Hostin siding with Behar, criticizing Clooney for potentially harming the party's chances. Clooney addresses her directly, respecting her legal background but disagreeing on the strategy. The audience reacts with cheers for the respectful yet firm debate. Behar then shifts to the media's role, accusing outlets of amplifying negative narratives. Clooney agrees partially but insists his op-ed was a necessary intervention. The crowd's reactions vary, some clap for Behar's tenacity, others for Clooney's eloquence. As the conversation touches on potential successors, speculation runs wild, with names like Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom floated. Behar expresses skepticism about an abrupt change, while Clooney advocates for boldness. The back and forth keeps the audience engaged, with visible excitement on their faces. One audience member even stands to applaud Clooney's points, drawing smiles from the actor. Behar, undeterred, wraps a segment by saying, "Well, George, you've given us a lot to think about, or argue about." The light-hearted jab eases tension, but the sparring leaves an indelible mark on the show. The climax of the spar between George Clooney and Joy Behar unfolds as they tackle the heart of the matter, the future of American democracy. Clooney passionately argues that stepping aside could invigorate the party, citing historical examples where such moves led to victory. Behar pushes back. "History also shows that division loses elections, George. Your op-ed might just hand it to the other side." The audience erupts in a cacophony of reactions. Boos from Clooney fans, cheers from those aligning with Behar's caution. He counters by emphasizing unity post-decision, suggesting a mini-primary to rally behind a new leader. Behar scoffs. "A mini-primary? In this short time? That's chaos!" Laughter ripples through the crowd at her incredulity. Clooney remains steadfast, sharing insights from conversations with other donors and politicians who share his concerns. The exchange becomes more personal when Behar questions if Clooney's Hollywood bubble insulates him from everyday struggles. "Joy, I've traveled the world seeing real suffering. This isn't about bubbles," he replies firmly. Audience applause thunders for his global perspective. Other co-hosts weigh in, with Alyssa Farah Griffin offering a balanced view, but the focus stays on the duo's dynamic. Behar lands another blow. "If you're so concerned, why not run yourself?" Clooney chuckles. "I'm an actor, not a politician, but I know a good script when I see one, and this one's heading for a bad ending." The witty retort draws huge laughs and claps. The audience's reactions intensify, with some chanting "George, George," while others defend Behar's realism. As the debate rages, topics expand to include media bias and celebrity influence, with Clooney defending the right to speak out. Behar agrees on free speech, but stresses responsibility. The verbal volleys keep coming, each point me. Tea with counterpoints, keeping the energy high. Toward the end of the segment, Clooney extends an olive branch, praising Behar's commitment to progressive causes. She reciprocates, acknowledging his contributions, but not without a final jab. "Just next time, call me before publishing." The audience roars with approval at the humorous close. The sparring match, though intense, ends on a note of mutual respect, leaving viewers buzzing about the raw authenticity displayed. Post-show discussions in the audience reveal split opinions, with many appreciating the candid dialogue. With the main exchange winding down, the focus shifts to the audience's vivid reactions, which have been a constant undercurrent throughout the spar between George Clooney and Joy Behar. From the outset, spectators have been vocal, their cheers and boos punctuating every sharp retort. One woman in the front row stands up during a particularly heated moment, shouting, "You tell her, Joy," in support of Behar's defense of party loyalty. Conversely, a group of younger attendees applauds wildly when Clooney articulates the need for change, chanting briefly in his favor. The diversity of responses mirrors the broader political divide, with some audience members whispering heatedly to companions about the points raised. Cameras pan to capture expressions ranging from shock to amusement, amplifying the drama for home viewers. Behar's zingers often elicit laughter, lightening the atmosphere, while Clooney's earnest pleas draw thoughtful nods. As the segment progresses, reactions become more animated. A man yells, "Preach, George!" after a monologue on democracy's fragility. Behar's supporters counter with claps for her incisive questions. The co-hosts occasionally pause to acknowledge the crowd, with Whoopi joking about the lively energy. Post-break, audience questions are fielded, allowing direct input. One asks Clooney about his next steps, to which he responds thoughtfully, earning more applause. Another queries Behar on her unwavering support for Biden, sparking further debate. The reactions aren't just auditory. Body language speaks volumes. Crossed arms from skeptics, leaning forward from the engaged. Social media buzzes in real time, with clips of the spar going viral, reflecting the audience's enthusiasm. Some spectators later share in interviews that the exchange was refreshing, cutting through typical talking points. Others feel it highlighted tensions within the left. Overall, the audience's involvement elevates the episode from standard talk show fare to a memorable event. As Clooney and Behar shake hands at the end, the crowd gives a standing ovation, appreciating the spirited yet civil discourse. This reaction underscores the public's hunger for honest conversations amid polarized times. The spar not only entertains but also provokes thought, with audience members leaving the studio abuzz with discussion. Days later, online forums dissect every reaction, cementing the moment in pop culture. In the aftermath of the intense spar between George Clooney and Joy Behar on The View, the ripples extend far beyond the studio audience's immediate reactions. Media outlets dissect the exchange, with headlines proclaiming Clooney versus Behar, Hollywood meets hard-hitting talk. Commentators praise Clooney for his poise under fire and Behar for her unyielding scrutiny, noting how the debate encapsulated larger Democratic Party struggles. Social media explodes with memes and clips, some hailing Clooney as a truth-teller, others defending Behar's loyalty as principled. The audience's divided responses become fodder for analysis, symbolizing the electorate's own fractures. Clooney later issues a statement reiterating his respect for Behar and the show, emphasizing that tough conversations are essential for progress. Behar, on subsequent episodes, references the encounter light-heartedly, acknowledging its impact. Viewership spikes, drawing in political junkies and entertainment fans alike. The event sparks broader discussions on celebrity involvement in politics, with panels debating its merits. Some credit the spar with pushing the party toward introspection, especially as whispers of Biden's potential exit grow. Audience members who attended share stories online, describing the electric atmosphere and how it felt like witnessing history. Critics argue the public airing of grievances harms unity, while supporters see it as vital transparency. Clooney's op-ed gains renewed attention, influencing donor sentiments and party strategies. Behar's stance resonates with grassroots supporters wary of elite interference. Ultimately, the spar humanizes the political process, showing that even stars and pundits grapple with complex issues. As the election cycle heats up, this moment serves as a benchmark for candid dialogue. Reflections from the audience highlight a desire for more such unfiltered exchanges, bridging entertainment and activism. In retrospect, the confrontation fosters a nuanced view of leadership transitions, encouraging voters to weigh loyalty against pragmatism. The enduring legacy is one of engagement, proving that spirited debate can enlighten rather than divide. Months later, References to the spar pop up in comedy sketches and op-eds, cementing its place in 2025's cultural zeitgeist. Both Clooney and Behar emerged stronger, their reputations bolstered by the authentic clash.